I bought 2 lottery tickets at the gas station. One hit for $1 million. The other hit for 10 million. I hadn't even finished taking off my shoes when I handed the 1 million ticket to my parents, thinking, stupidly, that this time they might look at me with something like pride. Instead, they lost their minds. My dad snatched it up like it might evaporate and started carving it into pieces before the ink was even dry. "We're keeping half for our retirement," he declared, eyes shining with greed. "The other half goes to your sister, Ashley." Then he looked at me like he'd just done me a huge favor. "And since the family finances are looser now, we'll knock $200 off the monthly rent you pay us." Just 200. My hand, which was already sliding toward my pocket to pull out the 10 million ticket, froze mid-motion. I slowly let go, smoothed the wrinkles on my cheap nursing scrubs, and watched them bask in their own excitement while they divided up my money like it already belonged to them. A quiet settled over me, one I'd never felt before. Not sadness, not anger. Just clarity. What was I supposed to say? I'd been the family scapegoat my whole life, the pathetic daughter who kept trying to buy love with obedience. I told them about the win right away because some part of me still believed that if I did enough, worked enough, paid enough, stayed quiet enough, they'd finally treat me like I mattered. What an idiot. I touched my pocket again, feeling the crisp edge of the 10 million ticket. Then I turned and started toward my bedroom. It was time to pack my things and get out. My mom saw me moving and frowned. "Chloe, what are you doing? Did you hear what your father said? You can pay 200 less next month." She was clutching that ticket like it was a holy relic, eyes bright, almost feverish, while looking at me with the same old disgust. "I'm not paying you a dime anymore," I said, flat and calm. Then I pointed at the ticket in her hand. "Have you stared at it long enough? Give it back when you're done." She froze like she'd misheard. My dad's eyebrows lifted, confused at first. "Chloe, what did you just say?" I said, "If you're done staring at the ticket, give it back to me." My voice didn't shake. It was steadier than it had been in 25 years of swallowing their nonsense. They processed it slowly, and then their faces darkened, ugly, offended, like I'd committed some kind of crime. My mom stormed right up to me, shouting inches from my face. "Are you out of your mind? You want to keep that whole million for yourself? Do you even consider us your parents? Do you know how much we spent raising you?" I let out a dry little laugh, and even I didn't know what was funny. Maybe it was the tragedy of my whole life, finally turning into something so absurd I couldn't hold it in. How much did it cost to raise me, really? In elementary school, I walked through snow in canvas shoes with holes in them, hand-me-downs that had belonged to my younger sister. They were too small, and my toes were always raw. In middle school, Ashley went to a private academy with a ride from Dad while I walked an hour to public school and came home soaked when it rained because no one bothered to pick me up. In high school, we got a computer. Everyone knew the password but me. If I needed it, I had to ask like I was requesting permission to breathe, and they only said yes if they were in a good mood. College? I got into a state university, but they pushed me into the cheapest nursing program so I could start working faster. Now I spent my days and nights at a rundown hospital, cleaning up messes and doing the jobs nobody wanted. I made $3,300 a month. They took $2,200 of it. And now I was supposed to be grateful for $200 off? What a joke. I nodded slowly. Yeah. I'm keeping it all. Give it back, or I'm calling the police. Whether it's 1 million or 10 million, it's mine. The word police lit a fuse. My dad's temper surged the way it always did, loud, righteous, performative. He reached for the nearest chair like he might use it to scare me into obedience again. "You ungrateful brat," he barked. "You're going to call the cops? Try it." My mom shoved the ticket into her pocket and jabbed a finger toward my face. "You think winning $1 million makes you special? Who raised you? You've been eating our food and living under our roof for years. Even 10 million wouldn't pay us back." I didn't flinch. I was so calm it startled me. I used to be a coward. I used to cry and beg, bargaining for scraps of affection like a starving dog. But now? No anger? No fear? Just a cold understanding, they didn't deserve my love. They never had. "I've been giving you $2,200 a month for years," I said, holding out my hand. That debt is paid. Give me the ticket back. My dad took a step forward, hand lifting as if he meant to strike me, and my body reacted on instinct. I leaned back, ready to protect myself. But my mom grabbed his arm and hissed something in his ear. I caught enough of it to understand. If she calls the police, we lose everything. She's different today. Let me handle this. My mom was a manipulator. She was an expert at reading the room and changing masks. Every time I cracked under the pressure, she'd give me a sugar-coated lie, a sweet date, a sudden hug, a soft voice telling me she loved me, but Ashley was younger, and as the big sister I had to sacrifice. I always swallowed that poison candy. Now she unwrapped another piece. She pushed my dad down into a chair, pasted on a smile, and glided toward me like nothing had happened. Chloe, honey, why the mood? You won the lottery. You should be happy. Your father and I were just too excited. We didn't think about your feelings. She tilted her head, eyes gleaming with practiced warmth. How about this? Out of the million, we'll give you 50,000. Consider it a little nest egg for when you get married. 50,000. 5%. I couldn't even describe what it felt like to hear that. Like something lodged in my throat. Like I couldn't breathe. I looked at my dad's red, furious face, and my mom's fake, glittering smile, and my stomach turned so hard I thought I might fold in half. I ran to the bathroom. Behind me, my mom called out twice, sweet, concerned, theatrical. When I didn't answer, she stopped caring. I got sick until there was nothing left, and when I braced myself on the sink, I realized my face was wet with tears. There's a saying I'd never dared to believe until that moment: sometimes people aren't your parents in any way that matters, they just were the faces of the ones who brought you into the world. I'd never been able to cut them off before. I kept thinking I could earn my place. That if I just endured long enough, the suffering would turn into love. It didn't. It only turned into more suffering. 25 years was enough. I wiped my face, steadied my breathing, and walked out. Before I reached the living room, I heard my mom on the phone, voice frantic and bright, like she'd won the lottery herself. Yes, she said. Your sister won $1 million. We're keeping half for retirement and half for you to start a business. Didn't you always want to open that bubble tea boutique? Ah. Ashley, baby, come home quick. You need to help calm your sister down. She's acting irrational and saying she wants to keep it all. Then my dad chimed in, all smug certainty. Ashley, once we cash it, we're taking you to Aspen. You've been begging to ski since you were a kid. A pause. Then, colder, no, we're not taking your sister. If she takes a day off, she loses wages. Just us three. A family trip. The nausea came back, sharp and sour, but there was nothing left in me to spill. They weren't even pretending anymore. They were going to steal the ticket. And then it hit me, clean and bright as a blade, that 1 million ticket could be the thing that destroyed them. I pulled out my phone, turned on the voice recorder, and walked into the room. They saw me and immediately ended the call, slapping fake smiles back on like a costume. Chloe, my mom cooed, are you feeling better? Look, we were a bit harsh earlier. Don't take it to heart. She reached for my hand, beaming. I pulled away and stared at her like she was a stranger. Are you done plotting? When do I get my ticket back? That's my $1 million. Her face stiffened for half a second before she forced a laugh. What's yours is ours. You bought it, sure, but we're family. Money belongs to the household, right? It's family money, my dad echoed, like that settled it. I shook my head. I bought the ticket on December 13th at the Quick E-Mart on 5th Street. I have the receipt. Legally, it's mine. Then I took a slow breath, as if I was being generous. But I'll share some. I'll give you 10 grand. The moment I said it, my dad exploded. He lunged forward like he meant to shove or strike me, fury cracking through his face. I stepped back fast, heart hammering, but my voice stayed level. My mom dropped the act completely, screaming with pure rage. You ungrateful little monster. Get out. This is my house. You don't deserve to step foot in here, get out. They snapped so quickly it almost made me laugh. Because it was exactly what I needed. Fine, I said, quiet and final. From now on, this place isn't my home. I'm not coming back. I looked straight at my mother's pocket, where she'd hidden the ticket. As for the lottery ticket, I'll give you 1 month. If you don't return it by the deadline, I'm calling the police. 1 month. Enough time for them to convince themselves they'd won. Enough time for them to spend what they thought was theirs. And when reality finally caught up, when the lies started cracking and the consequences showed up at the door, that's when the fun would begin. I didn't even make it through the night before finding out just how deep the rot went. Lying on my narrow bed, still in my scrubs, I stared at the ceiling until my vision blurred. My phone buzzed beside me. A notification from some anonymous gossip forum I barely remembered bookmarking, one of those places where bored people vent about their families and jobs. The username that popped up on my lock screen made my stomach clench. At Ashley's Little Secret. Ashley's burner account. I'd stumbled across it once before, when she whined about how my nurse sister is so stingy, she only sent me $300 for concert tickets. I hadn't confronted her. I just told myself she was young and stupid. That she'd grow out of it. I opened the post. My parents just hit the jackpot, she'd typed. A 7-figure lottery win. Everyone online says having a daughter is the best retirement plan. But actually? It's just me. I have an older sister, but they're not giving her anything. Comments were already piling up. User 1, damn, why? Did your sister do something awful? User 2, yeah, what did she do to deserve that? Ashley replied under the same account, she didn't do anything. She's just the older one. She has to stay home and take care of our parents, so we can't let her know there's money. Otherwise she might get greedy. I'm the one they're investing in to fly high. Fly high. My fingers went numb. I scrolled down. User 3, are you okay in the head? Your sister's a person, not a retirement tool. User 4, you ever ask her if she wants to fly high? Ashley, not my problem. Once I take the money and go abroad, I'm out. She'll stay behind and take care of them. That's what older daughters are for, right? The room tilted. For a long time, I told myself all the favoritism was just circumstances. She was younger. She was delicate. I was older. I could handle more. I'd believed every line my mom fed me. Be the generous big sister. Don't make Ashley cry. Mom will give you a secret treat later, okay? She'd ruffle my hair and slip me the cheapest, most fluorescent lollipops from the corner store, my reward for letting Ashley tear up my new textbooks or yank toys out of my hands. See? She'd coo. Ashley doesn't understand yet. You're the good one. The sensible one. Help Mom out and let her have it. Mommy will always remember how good you are. I used to stand in the hallway, clutching those neon lollipops like medals, convincing myself her love was just quiet. Subtle. Reading Ashley's posts, I realized it wasn't subtle. It was never there. I closed the app, but the words stuck to me like oil. Older daughters are for taking care of parents. You can't tell her there's money, or she might get greedy. Funny? They were already planning how to spend my million. Already promising Ashley a bubble tea boutique and a ski trip. Already deciding my entire future, endless work, endless sacrifice, and maybe a $50,000 nest egg if I behaved. And they still called me greedy. That night my dad texted, working late. Don't wait up. My mom yelled through my closed door, Chloe, I'm having dinner with a friend. There's frozen dumplings in the freezer. Don't make a mess. Ashley stuck her head in just long enough to wrinkle her nose at me. If you're just going to throw something together, I'd rather stay at school for evening study. Cafeteria food is bad, but your cooking is worse. Then she left, humming like she didn't have a care in the world. The apartment went quiet. I sat there for a long time, staring at the wall. Then I picked up a flashlight and went to my parents' room. Mom had a secret base. I'd known about it since I was a kid. She thought she was subtle, but children notice things when adults think they're invisible. The loose board behind her nightstand, the way she slipped envelopes into the wall when she thought no one was looking. Mommy's saving up a dowry for you girls, she'd said once, patting my head. When you get married, I'll take it out and give it to you. So don't waste money now, okay? We have to think about the future. Back then, I glowed with pride. I barely spent a cent on myself. Every time I watched her skip buying something she wanted, I thought, she's doing it for me. For us. For later. I eased the nightstand aside, found the loose patch of plaster, and pried it open. The beam of my flashlight cut through the dust. A small red velvet pouch sat in the hollow. My heart stumbled. I pulled it out, hands shaking, and loosened the drawstring. Inside, neatly folded, was my $1 million ticket. The one my mom had stuffed into her pocket that afternoon like it already belonged to her. They hadn't even put it somewhere ordinary like a purse or a drawer. They'd hidden it in the wall. Hidden it like contraband. My throat burned. I didn't take it. Not yet. I slid the ticket back into the pouch, tucked it where I'd found it, and put the nightstand back with careful hands. For the first time all day, a strange lightness bloomed in my chest. They thought they were clever. They had no idea how much of their life I'd spent watching them. Learning them. Surviving them. Let them celebrate tonight, I thought. Let them toast to my stupidity. On my way out, I stopped in the kitchen. Ashley had a weak stomach. The last time she'd eaten greasy cafeteria food, she'd spent 3 days complaining on the couch. I opened the fridge, pulled out some vegetables and eggs, and put together 2 simple dishes and a pot of rice. It was stupid, probably. Habit. Even while planning my escape, I was still cooking for the person who'd just posted about abandoning me. I packed the food into a metal lunchbox anyway. On my way out of the building, I ran into Mrs. Zhao, our downstairs neighbor. She blinked at the lunchbox in my hand. Oh? You didn't go with your parents and sister? I frowned. Go where? She froze for a second, then flapped her hands. Must have been someone else I saw. My old eyes, you know. Never mind. Never mind. I'm going home. There were only 3 families with daughters in our building. Only ours had 2. There was no someone else. The unease in my chest sharpened. At Ashley's school, I bumped into her homeroom teacher in the hallway. Ms. Chen, I said, forcing a smile. I brought dinner for my sister. Is she in class? She took the night off for a big family celebration, Ms. Chen replied, cheerful. Said you all had something important to celebrate together. The metal handle of the lunchbox cut into my palm. Family celebration. Without me. I made some excuse and left. Halfway down the block, I called my mom's best friend, Aunt Linda. Hey, Auntie. Mom left her phone at home. She said she was having dinner out tonight. Where is she? She said she's at Harbor Palace, Aunt Linda answered immediately. The fancy seafood place downtown. You know, the one you always talked about wanting to try, she laughed. Guess life's getting better for them, huh? Harbor Palace. When I was little, my mom had pointed at that restaurant's glowing sign and said, the food there is gorgeous. Fresh lobster, fresh crab. But it's expensive. Study hard, grow up, make lots of money, and someday you can bring mom to eat there, okay? That promise had carried me through a lot of long nights. I asked the cab driver to stop across the street from Harbor Palace and pressed my forehead against the cool glass. Rain had started, turning the pavement into a mirror. Through the wide windows, I saw them, my dad in a borrowed blazer, my mom in her nicest dress, Ashley in a new top I'd never seen before. They were laughing, cheeks flushed, glasses of red wine raised high. Celebrating. My million. Without me. My fingers slipped. The lunchbox hit the sidewalk with a dull, wet thud. The lid snapped open, rice and eggs and vegetables splattering into the dirty water. For a second, I just stared at it, at the mess, at my reflection wobbling in the oily puddle. Then I turned away and walked home in the rain. By the time I reached the apartment, I was shivering so hard my teeth hurt. Water dripped from my hair down the back of my shirt. I stood in the doorway for a long time, listening to the empty silence. I'd always believed money would fix everything. All the years of tension, all the fights, all the resentment, I thought it was because we were poor. I thought if I just worked harder, earned more, it would ease. Mom would suffer less. Dad wouldn't have to break his back on the construction site. Ashley could go to whatever college she wanted. Turns out, money doesn't magically grow hearts where there aren't any. Sometimes it just makes people show you who they've been all along. I collapsed onto the couch in my wet clothes and didn't bother moving. A puddle formed under me, soaking into the cushions. I stared at the dark TV screen until my vision went fuzzy. At some point, the front door banged open. Bright voices flooded in. "Oh my God, Mom, that lobster." "Slow down, Ashley, you'll choke." My mom's scream stabbed through the fog. "What is this mess? Chloe. How can you be this filthy? Did you pee yourself on the couch?" Ashley burst out laughing. "Seriously? Did she? That's disgusting." I forced my eyes open. My head pounded. The room kept tilting, then snapping back into place. I tried to sit up. I think I have a fever." My mom's face twisted. "Then why'd you go out in the rain? Who told you to? You do this to yourself and expect us to feel sorry for you?" Dad clicked his tongue, annoyed. "Always creating problems. You reap what you sow, Chloe." Ashley's giggles cut off abruptly. She doubled over and threw up on the floor, clutching her stomach with wide, watery eyes. "Mom. I feel awful," she whimpered. "Everything hurts." In an instant, my parents shifted. "Baby." My mom rushed to her, cupping her face. "Food poisoning? Oh my God, your skin is clammy. Don't worry, we'll go to the ER right now." She snapped her fingers at me without looking. "What are you still doing sitting there? Get up and carry your sister to the car." I weighed maybe 90 pounds after years of skipped meals and extra shifts. Ashley was well over 120, soft and pampered. My arms shook just thinking about lifting her. My dad's eyes flared. "Are you trying to compete with your sister? She's sick. You're just being dramatic." "Compete?" I let out a breathless laugh. "Compete for what? Their love?" I never had a chance. The world fuzzed out around the edges. One second I was standing, the next, the ceiling was spinning above me. The last thing I heard before everything went dark was Ashley sobbing and my parents cursing me for causing trouble. When I woke up, the clock on the wall read 3 a.m. The couch under me was damp and cold. My head felt strangely clear. The fever had burned through something, melted it away. For as long as I could remember, I'd thought, if I do more, Mom will do less. If I clean quicker, she'll rest. If I bring home more money, Dad can slow down. If I take care of Ashley, she won't be a burden. Like my life was a patch, stretched over every crack in our family. Lying there in the dark, surrounded by the sour smell of dried vomit and rain and cheap wine, that belief finally crumbled. They didn't want me to ease their burden. They wanted me to be the burden. The safety net. The guaranteed caregiver. The walking wallet. And Ashley? She was their ticket out. I got up, took a long, hot shower, and changed into dry clothes. I left the dishes in the sink. I left the stained couch as it was. I went back to my parents' bedroom, moved the nightstand, and opened the wall. My hands didn't shake this time when I pulled out the velvet pouch. The ticket was cool and smooth between my fingers. A piece of paper worth $1 million to the world. Worth my entire future to them. Worth nothing to me if it only bought more chains. I stared at it for a long time, then tore it into thin strips. Not neatly. Not reverently. Just fast, mechanical shredding until it was nothing but confetti. I cupped my hands and pushed the pieces into my mouth, chewing and swallowing until my throat ached and my stomach burned. Let them try to cash it now. Anything that went into my body became waste eventually. That was the one thing in this house I could still control. When the last bitter scrap was gone, my fingertips brushed against something else in the wall, a hard, flat edge. I reached in and pulled out a notebook. My mom's handwriting marched across the cover in neat, familiar loops. A date from decades ago. 1999. I flipped it open. November 7th. Chloe is such an annoying little girl. She refuses to give up her new workbook to her sister. Just because she started first grade, she thinks she's smarter? That book is a favor from me to Ashley. Honestly, I wanted to kick her twice for making a fuss. So irritating. My vision blurred. I turned the page. December 1st. I'm a genius. I figured out how to make Chloe give in and still think I'm wonderful. I tell her to let Ashley have things, then I buy her the cheapest candy with the most artificial coloring. She never notices how low quality it is, she just beams and thanks me. Meanwhile, I buy Ashley the finest chocolate. They fight nonstop, but both of them think I'm the best mom in the world. Perfect. Something cracked in my chest. I flipped forward. Middle school. High school. Chloe's grades keep improving. How annoying. I set up all these obstacles and she still pushes through. Poor Ashley just isn't cut out for studying. I'll have to be nicer to Chloe, keep her close. If she succeeds, I'll tie her to me for life. With that timid personality, she'll never fly far. Chloe got into a good university. I'm furious. I'm not giving her a single cent. Every dollar I've saved is for Ashley. Chloe can scrape by on her own, then she'll owe me twice. Ashley says her sister wants to stay in the city after graduation. Over my dead body. I heard she's managed to save up some money on her own. I'll pretend to be sick and drag her back. Once she's home, I'll get her paycheck every month. That way she'll never get any ideas. I don't know how long I sat there, reading. Every sugar-coated memory I'd hoarded shattered, one by one. There it was in black and white, every manipulation, every sweet date, every plan to keep me small and obedient, written like a to-do list. By the time I reached the last entry, about how she'd squeezed $14,000 out of me over the years and how it'll all go to my precious Ashley, my hands were ice cold. But my mind had never been clearer. I put the notebook back, sealed the wall, slid the nightstand into place, and turned off the light. Then I laughed. It bubbled up out of me, too loud in the quiet apartment, something wild and broken and free. If anyone had walked in, they would have thought I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had. Or maybe I'd finally found it. The next morning, sunlight sliced through the blinds. My mom stood in the kitchen, grumbling into the phone, probably telling some relative how hard her life was and how ungrateful her older daughter had become. Ashley was still at the hospital under observation. I poured myself a bowl of cereal. Mom hung up and glared at me. You're really something. Your sister is sick, and you're just sitting here eating like nothing's wrong. I took a bite and let the crunch fill the space between us. Food poisoning from Harbor Palace, huh? Her eyes flickered. How do you, she caught herself, changed tack. No. She got sick from the school cafeteria. You always half-ass meals, so she can't eat at home. She had no choice. I set my spoon down. Wow. So it's my fault the cafeteria food at her elite private school made her sick? Don't you twist my words, she snapped. I smiled, all teeth. You're right. That's not good enough. I should go down there and talk to the principal. How dare they serve contaminated food to our precious Ashley? They should compensate us. Maybe even get on the news. Imagine the scandal. She shot to her feet so fast the chair scraped the floor. No. Absolutely not. Why not? I tilted my head. If she really got sick from the cafeteria, we have to hold them accountable. Her hand trembled on the back of the chair. That's where your sister goes to school, she hissed. You make a scene, the teachers will blame her. You want them to make her life miserable? I leaned in, so close I could see the panic in her pupils. Funny, I said softly. You always seem the most afraid when I start telling the truth. Her gaze skittered away. I rinsed my bowl, humming under my breath. In the afternoon, while she thought I was at work, I heard her on the phone with one of her friends. Back then I wanted Chloe to marry someone with no parents, move in with us, no kids, just the two of them taking care of us. She was actually touched, can you believe it? Mom laughed. Now things are different. She's older, stubborn, wants to run off to some big city. We can't count on her. Best to marry her off far away. Let her go. We'll focus on Ashley. I stood in the hallway, listening. The last small, pathetic part of me that still wanted her approval finally went quiet. That evening, Ashley came home, pale but dramatic, collapsing onto the couch like a fallen princess. "You're unbelievable," she snapped the moment she saw me. "You left Mom to clean everything while you... What? Sat here and did nothing? Her back is killing her because of you." I held up a doctor's note from the clinic I'd visited after my fainting spell. "Funny? My chart says I had a high fever and dehydration. Want to compare?" She blinked, then sneered. "Oh please. If you were that sick, you couldn't have dragged yourself to work. You're just jealous." "Jealous of what?" I asked quietly. "The lobster? Or the parents who took you to eat it?" Her face flushed. "You've been investigating me?" She shrieked. "You think you can control who I eat with? I have friends who actually treat me right. Friends who take me places. Unlike you." Mom and Dad rushed in, taking positions like we'd rehearsed this scene 100 times. "Enough," Dad barked. "You're going to interrogate your sister because she has friends? You're pathetic. No wonder no man wants you." Mom clutched her chest, eyes wet but suspiciously dry. "I get sick, and you still think about your jealousy. Why can't you just be happy for your sister? Why must you ruin everything?" My cheeks still stung from where my dad had almost hit me the day before. His hand lifted again, and this time I didn't move. "Go ahead," I said, voice low. "Hit me. But if you do, I'm not leaving. I'll stay right here, every miserable day, reminding you that I exist. I'll be your shadow forever." His fingers twitched. Mom grabbed his arm. "Don't. She'll call the cops." I took a deep breath and looked at the three of them, my father's barely controlled rage, my mother's tight, calculating expression, Ashley's gleeful, expectant eyes, waiting for me to explode so they'd have an excuse to cast me out as the crazy one. "You're biased," I said to my mother. "You always have been." She froze. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the cheap lollipops you bought me while you gave Ashley imported chocolate," I said. "I'm talking about the textbooks you told me to share but never replaced. I'm talking about the diary you hid in the wall where you wrote down every trick you used to keep me small." Her face went ghost white. "How do you?" I stepped closer. "You're right about one thing. I am done. I want to split from this family. We can do it the clean way or the messy way." Ashley looked between us like she was watching a drama. "Split? What does that even mean?" "It means," I said, still staring at my parents, "we put it in writing. You give me back the money I've given you over the years, $14,000 by my count, but I'll print the bank statements. After that, we're done. You don't owe me anything. I don't owe you anything. You can pour all your love and expectations into Ashley, and I'll disappear from your lives." Mom's eyes lit up for a fraction of a second before she forced another sob. "You'd abandon us? How unfilial can you be? I'm sick, and you want to walk away?" "Great," I said calmly. "Then let's go to the hospital. Full workup. I'll pay. Whatever it costs to get you treated properly, I'll cover it." She jerked back like I'd slapped her. Because we both knew she wasn't sick. She'd been faking symptoms for years to keep my paycheck flowing. Dad straightened. "Fine," he snapped. "We'll cut ties. You think we need you? We still have Ashley." Ashley smirked. Within a day, they'd downloaded a generic severing ties template off the internet, filled in our names, printed it out, and shoved it at me with a pen. "Sign," Dad said. "Take your precious $14,000 and get out. Don't you dare come crawling back when you regret it." I read every line. No obligation. No financial responsibility. No expectation of support. I signed. They transferred the money to my account while Ashley leaned over the couch, scrolling her phone, barely hiding her grin. "This isn't your money," Dad muttered as he hit send. "We gave it to you out of kindness. Don't you go telling people otherwise." I looked him dead in the eye. "You couldn't save this much in 10 years. Don't kid yourself." His hand twitched again. I tilted my head. "Go on. Try me. I'll sit down right here and never leave." Mom clamped onto his wrist. "Stop it," she hissed. "Just let her go." I patted her shoulder. "Drop the act. If you're happy, just laugh." Then I picked up my small suitcase, everything I owned that they hadn't already pawned off as family property, and walked out. Sunlight hit my face as the door clicked shut behind me. For the first time, it felt warm. That night, on the train heading north toward the city I always dreamed of living in, I opened that gossip forum again. Ashley's burner account had a new post. Breaking news. She'd written, "My older sister just cut ties with my parents. They're going to cash in the lottery ticket without her. I'm about to become a rich girl. We had to act tough and kick her out, poor us, right? But she chose this. No one forced her." Comments poured in. User 1, "Your parents used her money for years and then tossed her out? That's evil." User 2, "How can you be happy about this? They're your parents, she's your sister." Ashley replied to every criticism with the same smug tone. "She's greedy and ungrateful. My parents did everything for her. Now we're finally free of her. She has no one to blame but herself." I locked my phone, let my head rest against the window, and watched the dark blur past. 2 days later, curiosity got the better of me. I checked the account again. Another post. "Disaster. Our lottery ticket is gone." My eyebrows rose. Ashley had written a whole essay this time. My parents tore the house apart. They flipped mattresses, emptied drawers, ripped open the wall behind the nightstand I'd already put back in order. "Nothing. They think my sister took it," Ashley wrote. "Mom said she hid it really well. If my sister had found it, she would have stormed the house. She's greedy like that. No way she'd stay quiet." In the comments, strangers tried to reason with her. User 3, "If I were your sister and found out my family tried to steal my winnings, I'd cash the ticket and disappear. That would be justice." User 4, "If she did take it, good for her. Your parents sound awful." My mom had even weighed in, apparently, using her own throwaway account. "She's always been ungrateful," she'd typed. "If she took it, she'll come crawling back to show off, just to hurt us. That's the kind of person she is." I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Then I turned my phone off and set it aside. I had more important things to focus on. 8 months later, I stood outside an exam hall with a classmate from college, both of us clutching admission letters for our new graduate program. We'd worked, studied, and barely slept our way through those months, surviving on cheap coffee and big gulps, sharing textbooks and second-hand notes. We opened our results together and screamed until we were hoarse. I was going back to school. I was leaving the hospital grind behind. And that $10 million ticket? Still tucked away in a safe deposit box I'd opened under my own name in a city my parents had never bothered to learn how to pronounce. The call came on a humid afternoon. "Chloe," my mom's voice trembled. "Your dad. He had an accident at the construction site. He didn't wear his helmet. Something fell. He's different now. The company is dragging their feet on compensation. Ashley didn't get into college. She's stuck at home. We need you to come home. Just for a bit." For years, that kind of call would have reduced me to guilt and panic. Now, I just held the phone and listened. I thought of her diary. Of the forum posts. Of the shredded ticket I'd swallowed. "I'm busy," I said finally. "But I'll come down for a weekend." The relief in her voice was almost convincing. "I knew you were a good child. Your dad misses you. We all do." When I walked into the old apartment, the first thing I saw was Ashley, sprawled on the couch, greasy takeout boxes around her, laughing at something on her laptop. She glanced up long enough to roll her eyes. "You're here," she said. "Got any cash? I'm going out with friends later. I need at least 1,000. Before I could answer, my mom rushed out of the bedroom, grabbing Ashley's arm. "Don't touch your sister. You good for nothing? Go wipe your father's chin. He drooled on himself again." Ashley made a face. "No way. That's gross. You do it." She flopped back down, headphones in, tuning us out. My dad sat in a chair by the window, chalk in hand, scribbling nonsense on the peeling wall. His eyes were unfocused, his hair grayer than I remembered. When he saw me, his face lit up. "Ashley," he beamed. There you are. You silly girl. Your mom tricked you out of your money and spent it all herself. She hates you. Run away. Run. My mom went white. Don't listen to him, she hissed, grabbing my arm and dragging me toward the door. He doesn't know what he's saying. He's not right in the head. Yeah, I said softly, looking back at him. But even broken clocks tell the right time twice a day. She gripped my hand tighter. Come on. Mom will take you out to eat. We can talk. I let her. We ended up at Harbor Palace. Of course we did. She stood outside the glass doors for a long time, staring at the sign like it was a portal to another life. Inside, I ordered lobster. We sat by the window, in almost the exact same spot I'd watched them from that rainy night. The city moved past outside, people hurrying through their own small dramas, not caring about ours. Remember? I said, cracking a shell. You used to tell me if I studied hard and made money, I'd bring you here. She forced a laugh. And you did. See? Mom raised you well. I slid a stack of printed pages across the table. Her hands shook as she picked them up. Every one of Ashley's posts. Every ugly comment. Every line about how I was just a caregiver and how they planned to hide money from me so I wouldn't get greedy. My mom's lips moved as she read. Her face went from confusion to horror to something like despair. You knew, she whispered. Yeah, I said. I knew. I knew about the wall, too. The dowry you were supposedly saving for me. She swallowed. So you took the ticket. You must have. You can't have cash it yet, right? If you give it back, we can still share. I'll give you half. 50-50. You're my daughter. How could I not? I picked up a shrimp, peeled it, and held up a thin, fragile shell between two fingers. Want to see something interesting? I asked. She stared, eyes wide. I slowly tore the shell into tiny pieces and sprinkled them into my water glass, swirling until they were nothing but pale flecks drifting in the liquid. Then I took a long drink. Set the glass down. Patted my stomach. Anything that goes into my body, I said quietly, comes out the same way. You understand? Her chair scraped back. You're lying. You wouldn't waste that kind of money. I read your diary, I cut in. She froze. I know you never planned to give me a cent of anything you saved. I know you faked being sick to drag me back from the city so I'd pay your bills. I know you laughed while buying me bottom-shelf candy and Ashley imported chocolate. Her eyes went glassy. I'm still your mother. I leaned forward. I asked the lawyer, I said. That paper we signed? The one you were so eager to shove in my face? It doesn't legally erase our relationship. You're right about that. But it does make things very, very clear about money. You took $14,000 from me. You gave it back? We're even. She clutched the edge of the table. You're going to let us starve? Let your father. Like this? I thought of my dad, laughing as he warned Ashley to run away from her hateful mother. I thought of Ashley, asking me for $1,000 the minute I walked in. I'm not God, I said. I'm just the daughter you plan to use up and throw away. You three wrote the script. I just refused to play my part. She sagged back into her chair, the fight draining out of her. You'll regret this when you're older, she murmured. When you have no one. I stood and picked up my bag. I already had no one, I said. Now I just have the truth to go with it. I paid the bill and walked out without looking back. Outside, the air smelled like rain again. I checked my balance on my phone, grad student poor but stable. I had a tiny studio in the city, a part-time job that didn't suck my soul out of my body, classes that made my brain light up, friends who texted me because they liked me, not because they needed something. No parents waiting to steal my paycheck. No sister sharpening knives behind a smile. Just me. Just Chloe. The girl who once thought money would fix everything and learned, the hard way, that what really mattered was who held the knife, and who finally decided to set it down and walk away.